Mesa Verde National Park is a collection of stunning, well-preserved Native American Pueblo archaeological sites dating back to AD 600. About Mesa Verde National Park. Mesa Verde National Park, or Green Table National Park, is a stunning Native American site in the United States. Dotted with over 4,000 archaeological treasures, including 600 beautifully preserved cliff dwellings, Mesa Verde dates back to AD 600. President Theodore Roosevelt established Mesa Verde National Park in June 1906, to preserve the works of man. The first national park of its kind, today the continued preservation of cultural and natural resources is the focus of Mesa Verde National Park, a top 10 tourist attraction in the United States. History of Mesa Verde National Park. Mesa Verde National Park was once home to the Pueblos, a Native American people who lived there for over 700 years. The Mesa Verde people survived by a combination of hunting, gathering, and farming, such as corn, squash, and beans. Sometime between 650 AD and the early 12th century, the people built large cliff dwellings called Pueblos. Made of sandstone, mortar, and wooden blocks, the Mesa Verde cliff dwellings were scattered across the beautiful landscape, some built on top of the mesa. However, in 1285 during a period of severe drought, the Mesa Verde people abandoned the area and moved south into Arizona and New Mexico. Mexican Spanish missionaries explored a route to California in 1776. They reached the Mesa Verde area but never got close enough to the cliff dwellings. It wasn't until the 1870s, as white Americans expanded westward through Colorado, that miners and geologists discovered, explored, and publicized the existence of the cliff dwellings. By the late 19th century, it was clear that Mesa Verde needed protection from visitors and private collectors who would take artifacts at will. In 1906, Theodore Roosevelt signed the Federal Antiquities Act, allowing the president to create national parks for places of environmental or cultural significance. Mesa Verde was the first such park. Since the 18th century, there has been conflict between non-native environmentalists and the local native peoples. Forced into an unfavorable deal with the U.S. government, the local Ute people were not compensated for losing their land to the park. In the 1920s, the park employed Navajo laborers to perform inaccurate Indian ceremonies for tourists, exploiting native workers and the differences between Native American cultures. Visiting Mesa Verde National Park. Today, covering more than 52,000 hectares, it's easy to spend days exploring Mesa Verde National Park. It only takes 2 hours to drive in and out of the park. You should plan to spend at least 4 hours here, starting at the Farview Visitor Center before moving on to the Chapin Mesa Archaeological Museum and Spruce Tree House, then the Mesa Top Loop Road. Some sites, such as Cliff Palace and Balcony House, can only be seen as part of a ranger tour, which can be purchased at the Visitor Center, where you can also explore the extensive collection of artifacts on display. Other objects found at Mesa Verde are on display at the British Museum. The National Park Service website has a variety of suggested itineraries for different time periods. There are plans to replace the Farview Visitor Center with a new research center and facility at the entrance to the park. It's also worth checking the opening hours, as many attractions are seasonal. To get the most out of the park, it's best to travel to Mesa Verde National Park by car. The Gateway Station is located just off of US Highway 160 in Colorado. The drive from Denver takes about 7 hours via Viaduct Route 70 or 4 hours from Albuquerque in New Mexico via Route 40 and Highway 491.